I was trustworthy at this point with her. She's like, "Hey, would you mind if, you watch the kids and me and your best friend and my best friend go out for a little drink?" Because I was like, "That's weird, but sure." And I'm pretty sure you can tell where this is going.
So, welcome back to another episode of Daddy Issues. Our guest today is going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his story.
All right. My name's Jose. I'm 29. I just turned 29 in August. And so I had my first kid when I was 23 and my second kid when I was 27. I met the mom actually through family, friends. I was doing some like over the state, all around state work, and I'd be gone for 4 days, come home for three. And the people that I hung out with on those 3 days were like my best friends. I talked to them about anything. Well, they had their uh family member come through and she was staying with them and she seemed like she was down on her luck. She was just trying to better her life. But I kind of like fell in love with this person without knowing them. Just kind of that generational bit of what we in our generation deal with. So like we fall in love fast, but you feel like it's the right person. So she had been going through a lot. She was actually pregnant with my son, who's not biological mine, but I've been there for since day one.
She was pregnant when you guys started dating.
Yeah, so she was a few months pregnant, and during that whole pregnancy, she was dealing with her relationship issues, abusive boyfriend. She had already had one child who was under a year old. That child was witnessing a lot of shit that he wouldn't have, should have. She was going through that. I kind of had gotten her story from her, and I was like, man, you don't deserve that. Like, you deserve to be treated good, especially when you conceive that person's child. Like, you love them enough to carry their baby. So she had ended up, you know, finishing that relationship. She decided that she was going to raise my son on her own without the biological father around. So I kind of was like, you deserve better. Why don't you just move in with me? I'll help you take care of yourself. Like, you have a job. We can kind of figure this out. Like, I got a stable job and you have a co parenting schedule with your first child with his father. So things were like looking pretty well. And, her grandfather ended up dying. And we went to that funeral because I was there to support the family that I had known, hung out with all the time before I'd met her, before she was a part of my life. And it was at that funeral where she kind of felt like, oh, this stranger per se does love me for who I am. It was the first time that she had seen her mother's burial plot, which was right next to her grandpa's. So it was emotional sense for her. So I just kind of hugged her from behind and she felt the warm embrace of love. And that's when she accepted. And so, a beautiful blossomy. And so after that, things were going good. I helped take care of her. I would talk to the baby in her stomach, all that, dad things. The things that I wanted to do as a dad, because I never had that with my dad. So wanted to raise myself to be a better person. She ended up going to a doctor's appointment and they were like, hey, your stress levels are really high. You got to calm it down because you could go into what's called eclampsia, right? Iron pre-eclampsia. And she's like, oh, okay. So that night she went to the doctor's appointment. She actually ended up stressing out too much and going into an attempted seizure. And I had texted her like, hey, how's your night going? And she started responding to me like, I'm not feeling well. And then she started sending me that gibberish. And I'm like, oh shit, instincts. Time to go check on her. So I got in my truck, drove over there, made sure she was okay. And like, she was slumped over on the couch, like over her stomach. I'm like, oh, that's not good for her or the baby. Let's like put her head up. And as soon as I put her head up, she was like dozing off. And I was like, oh, she's not okay. And then she got her nosebleed. And then at that point, I'm like, I don't know what to do. And right as I was like contemplating, like, what do I do? Her aunt walks in with my best friend and like her husband. I was like, I got to get her to the hospital right now. Like, I have to. I can't afford risking losing this blossoming relationship and also this kid that's going to be in my life. Like, I want to be a part of this family. Me, her aunt got in my truck. I carried her to my truck and like put her on her aunt's lap and I started going towards the hospital. Yeah, I got on 911. I was like, "Hey, I gotta get my girlfriend to the hospital. She's dying right now. There was no time to call an ambulance. I'm just letting you guys know I'm in this truck. I'm about to go through Main
Brian, if
Street."
you see me going 150, don't pull me.
I stopped it. I stopped it practically, and they're like, "No worries. We understand the situation. Whatever you do, just stay on the line. If you see an officer, just stay behind him." And I'm all like, "Okay." There. So I'm following this officer through this main street on the way to the hospital. And this guy stops at a red light and the officer slows down. And I'm like, I'm not stopping. I go around him and I go through the red light. I'm like, I know that's dangerous, but I'm not going to let her die. Get to the hospital and they're like, hey, you shouldn't have done that. I'm like, I know what I did. Sorry. Better ask forgiveness than permission, I guess.
Right.
Well, get to the hospital and they're like, hey, we're really glad that you got her on time because she was really close, like, to losing the baby just entirely, and we're gonna have to use emergency C-section. Unfortunately, we can't do it here, so we're gonna pump some magnesium into her to get her to wake up, get her out of that seizure.
How early was she?
2 weeks before she was actually due, but because of all the stress, she had to, like, put it all on her, and that's what I worried the most about it, because I was like, "This is gonna be you completely. What do I do?" Oh, yeah, I was only 23.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's true too. You were so young. Yeah.
Yeah, so
What
that
what did
was
he what did the biological father do? Was he did he
he's not around at all still to this day, and I don't know if it would be healthy for my son
Right.
just because like, it would completely open his world to something new, but, like, maybe down when he's down the line, I would like for him to know his genealogy. I would never deny.
does he know that you're not his biological dad?
He
Okay. Yeah.
thinks through and through that I'm his dad, number 1, since there, and when it comes time to it, I won't ever deny him the truth. I will always tell my children the truth. Yeah, because that's one thing that I've learned through this relationship. Truth is always the thing that needs to be said.
Percent. But it's great. Sorry, even hearing you now calling him your son, you haven't once said, "Oh, my stepson" or anything like that. You've the whole time called him your son, and I think that's just great. It's so beautiful to see that.
And I do have my stepson, and unfortunately, I don't see him that much because he was the first kid that I met with her, and he's a beautiful child. He's smart. He excels in anything he puts himself to, and I'm proud of my stepson, but I miss him a lot because I don't see him that much anymore. But I see him over FaceTime calls, and I get to talk to him every now and then, but I don't get to hang out with him, and that one's a little.
After the split, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if it was up to her, totally she'd let me like have a weekend with him. Like we're cool like that. But for the legal dad, he's not about it. So him and I have some issues, which I'll get to that later.
Yeah, yeah.
So after the whole hospital incident, like I got her there, they were like, got her here safe and sound. We're gonna get her, normal to a sense where we can transport her helicopter wise to where she's gonna get this emergency C-section. She comes through, she's like, "I really don't wanna do this emergency C-section, please don't. This is supposed to be natural." And, well, they're like, "We're gonna get you in the helicopter, we're gonna get you to where you actually need to go." And she's all like, "Hey, I'm terrified." And I looked at her and I was like, "I'm gonna meet you there before you even land, I promise you this." And she goes, "No, you're not. You can't beat a helicopter." And I said, "I shouldn't, but I'm gonna." Whoa. And it was about an hour drive, 45 minutes through another canyon. And as soon as I see her getting put into the helicopter, I'm already in the truck driving out of the parking lot. Stupid young me, I beat the helicopter to the hospital. Sends a 45-minute drive into like a 20-minute, and she's like, "Okay, I'm not gonna doubt you again. You're here. You're here for." So again, I'm thinking, beautiful, beautiful relationship. I'm I'm gonna see this woman give birth, something that God intended us to see because it's natural, and we all somehow need to comprehend the miracles of it. And so I'm there with her, sticking through. My truck is sitting there, we're waiting a couple days for her to actually give birth. It took only actually like took her 30 hours of labor to actually come
Did
through.
they induce her to try to do it that way?
Yeah, they started inducing once she was dilated enough to give birth. So she gave birth to that, healthy. He's 4 now, and he's so smart. He's such a light in my life, man. I love the guy. I love the little dude. He's taught me as much as I've taught him, and it's one of the cool things about having toddlers. Wild. So after all that, we're doing good for a couple months. She's giving me little gifts here and there. I'm going to work, doing what I can, but before we even like truly committed, she was like, "I just want you to know that like I'll never take this kid away from you, but I am not ready for a serious relationship." And I was like, "Well, with time that'll change. Like you'll see who that I'm about this, committed, ready for a future." And this is where it kind of starts to get turned for the like hurtful part is she was telling me that she was out at work, and in reality was she was what she classified herself as, a sugar baby. And I'm like, you can't really do that. Not when you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
I was like, I told you I'd take care of any bill responsibilities, school responsibilities down the line. Anything that you want to go have, like, you want to go do your makeup, I'll get you a nice little set, like that type of stuff. I'll take care of it. You don't need to go looking for these types of things. And she hid it for a while, but I wasn't stupid. And I felt like, oh, it's gonna stop because we have to move cities. And so we ended up moving 3.5 hours south of where we were originally living. And things were going good. You had our own place. We were taking care of the kids, my stepson, my son, and we were doing really well. I was doing work for her family member, and I was doing pretty well for the company, learning a lot, getting a lot of stuff done. Clients loved me. And then again it happened. I'm all like, why cheat on me again? Why treat me this way? I've been
Especially when you're down with her, it's like sucks to see a good man and women do that.
Yeah, and like anything she wanted for the house, I was like, yeah, you want that for the house? Cool, let's get it. It'll make the wall pretty. You want those lights? Let's get it. You want that kitchen thing? Let's get it.
Wow.
Like you want to fix up the yard? Let's get it. I got it. I'll fix it. I'm good. I'm good at plumbing, drywall, electrical. Like I got a lot on my belt. And it's what women should be more into instead of someone with like gym bod or the aesthetics. So, the knowledge and wisdom between being able to actually fix something. And that coincides with fixing a relationship. I was always willing to fix the relationship no matter how stupid it was of me to stay during someone being unfaithful.
I know it's so tough though, especially with, like if you're in love with them, it's tough to kind of be like to let that go. Yeah.
And I was like, this is my family. I'm just gonna stick through. This is my family. I created this. Like I wanted to be with this person. So I'm gonna stick through. But this time I didn't really I got mad. I got really mad because I was extremely depressed. And this time I for cheating, it was after 2 years of us living together, at this point. We were together, I skipped a lot because, during those 2 years of us from moving from where we originally met to where we were now, or not now, but like where we were at the point, those 2 years, a lot had happened, a lot of fights, a lot of love, a lot of happy, a lot of emotions in 2 years had happened that felt so quick. And then She ended up cheating on me again, and I was working with her family member, and I was like, "Hey, we have a we got a job in Milford," and my mind wasn't in the right place, so he's like, "Well, this this job out here, we're gonna have to spend the night." I'm like, "I can't spend the night. I gotta go take care of my kid because your sister's out doing whatever." And so that night, I got really wasted. He got really wasted. Him and I ended up fighting, wrestling on the ground, and he's this MMA, fighter. He's like, "Dude, you can't take me." I'm like, "Dude, you're really drunk, and I'm really drunk. I could take you." And so we ended up tussling a little bit, and I got him off of me, and I ended up grabbing a rope, not a rope, but a bed sheet, and I went outside to a gazebo, and I kind of like did the unforgivable, man. And so I was sitting there, and he was just drunk as shit. He didn't know what was going on, and he looks over at me, and hanging that, I'm just hanging out by myself. So
Wait. You lost me for a second. You tried to hang yourself? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, yeah, it was to that point of I'm tired of this. I'm tired of getting hurt after I'm putting so much effort into this. Not only am I putting up with all this shit, putting up with all your anger all the time, like trying to fix it, pleasing you, saying sorry, all this stuff. Within those 2 years, I just had had enough. And my son, he was only 8 months old at the time, and I was in the loony bin for about a week. And the crazy part is, I tried it a week before my birthday, so they let me out the day before my birthday.
Yeah.
The whole time while I was in there, her and I were talking, but I didn't talk to her for 3 days because I was like, "Oh, I don't really want to talk to you after all you've done to me." I had talked to her brother. So she's like, "That's kind of messed up that you wouldn't tell me that you're alive because talk to my brother." And I'm like, "Sorry, I didn't really want to talk to you, but I'm talking to you now. Things are better, and like the bin is actually helping me get through this. Like it's helping me regulate my emotions. And honestly, like my dark humor, they don't like it. Every morning that they wake us up, they'd be like, "Time to do your blood pressure." And I'm willingly, I'm like, "Yeah, here we go. I'm all happy and chill." Take my blood pressure, like, "Okay, you normal?" I'm like, "Better than zero." They were like, "We don't think we should release him yet to your care." And she's like, "No, no, he's fine." So after they let me out, I went back home. She started caring for me a lot more. She started doing things a lot better for me. Like, not that I asked of it, just because she was like, "I want to show you that I love you, even after I was unfaithful. Like, I'll stop doing what I had to do." And so things were going better for a while, and then we started reconnecting a lot more. And then that's when I was like, "Oh, she's actually showing me that she truly wants to be with me to be with me." So we ended up having a daughter, and that and she's actually biologically she has been something that rewired my brain, but rewired me completely. It's true what they say about that. For
Yeah.
men, we get rewired when we have daughters. We see how wars are started. We protect what we love. And for children, I've done everything that I can to protect them, even through emotions, even through me and mom fighting. I've always done everything to keep them away from it. And even when she's been at my tail, like, "No, we're going to talk about this now. We're going to handle this now." I've always been like, "No, we can handle this later when our kids aren't watching." And so the first year of my daughter's life, things were normal. We started to become better. She hadn't done anything for a long time. We moved out of state across the country. Her dad was like helping us in a sense, but in reality, her dad and her stepmom wanted to get rid of me in the end. And so I was like, "Why did they bring me out of state where my whole life has been where I am actually now?" Because like where I am living now, I've started to stabilize myself for the first time in 5 years. But when we were out of state, across the country, on the East Coast, I was doing what I could to continue bearing my family and like continue helping her father and like whatever he needed around his house. Things were going good until they weren't. And I was doing everything that I had to. I was doing mom duties, dad duties, because I was let her rest from just having a baby, moving across the country, managing her father's stress. And I was just like, let me take the brunt of it. I got this. How I've always been. And so everything that I had gathered, everything that she had gathered in her 20 years of life, like 23 years of life, my 25 years of life, we lost everything that we had because we were forced to move back across the country with nothing really except for kids' clothes, kids' shoes. Anything that our kids needed is what we brought back with us, and we restarted completely as parents should. Well, we get back to the West Coast, and things were going a lot better. We were doing a lot better in our relationship. Our kids were a lot happier. We had to do what we had to do sacrificially for our kids. And we ended up getting help from one of my childhood friends and his woman. We decided to let loose a little bit. We kind of started to just go a little overboard with partying, a little drinking too much. I started to get, I was trustworthy at this point with her. She's like, "Hey, would you mind if, you watch the kids and me and your best friend and my best friend go out for a little drink?" Because I was like, "That's weird, but sure." And I'm pretty sure you can tell where this is going. It's it was one of those nights where I stayed up going, "Hey, where are you?" I called her a million times. So I ended up getting in the car. It was snowing. I went to where they were. I knew where he lived. He wasn't there. They weren't there. So I was like, "Hey, I'm going to check the other spot I know where they're at." They were there. And so I'm all right, what the hell's going on? And they're like, "Nothing. We didn't even do anything. We just got too drunk. We all passed out." I'm all like, "Okay, well, that's bullshit. Like, let's go home." And she's like, "You're not going to control me." And I'm like, "You know what? I'm not dealing with this. I'm just not going to fight. I don't like to fight anymore. Whatever." Things went on pretty normally. We ended up moving to a state over because we found low income housing, and I found a pretty good job. She got into some really stupid shit with some stupid people. And this is where things went really south and started to really diminish my wanting to stay. You know, and so after she got into the stupid shit, she let stupid people into our lives. A big old fucking implosion happened in our home. And she had been pregnant for 5 months before telling me. And it wasn't my best friends. It was just a complete random sugar daddy that she brought.
Way.
Why? And so she told me, and she's like, "I'm pregnant." And I'm like, "No, you're not. It's not mine." And she goes, "It's yours." I'm like, "No, it's not mine. But we'll see." Well, she gets time to having the baby. And she goes, "You're going to see. He's going to come out just looking like you." And I'm like, "If he comes out like looking like me, I won't ever be mean to you again. I promise you this. I won't ever be mean to you ever, ever, ever again if that baby looks like." If that baby comes out looking nothing like me, I'm gonna have a really long, lengthy talk this thought. I stayed up till 4 in the morning before she was actually dilated enough to give birth. I was watching my two kids while she was doing all these things. I was always there for my kids. That's the thing. I was always there for my kids, and when she was around, yeah, she was helpful. But did she like to fight? At that time, yeah.
Dude,
So
even when she's pregnant and you have to wait the months and months until she gives birth, I would just like, were you guys fighting? Like I would the whole time be questioning whether she cheated on me or not. You know what I mean?
I was working nonstop, trying to make that
Yeah.
money just to support my family. It was always a text war every day, and I'm trying to, and I was a cook at the time, man. And I'm flipping burgers, making all these meals. Like I was known as the best cook in that town for that restaurant at that time because they had a lot of really shitty workers. But I came in and they were like, "Dude, meals are bomb all the time, cook perfect." Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm always happy no matter what, dude. As depressed as I get, biggest smile on my face, dude, no matter what." So I'm going through this and I'm handling text message wars every day. And my boss is like, "Hey, good job on like all this stuff, but get off of your phone." I'm like, "I'm trying to handle life, like if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna do with my life.
Yeah, that's a shitty thing too, is like you got a lot of stuff going on in your life besides work. So yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, and so pretty much like baby ended up not coming out like me. So the person that was there was like, "Oh, you're in trouble." And so, hey, this says low device storage.
I'm looking at it now. Yeah. Um, because what it does is it records on your end. Hold on. So I'm gonna
After the baby came out, I was like, I'll stick around for a month, see how it goes. Even knowing it's not mine, not looking like me. But I took care of him for a little bit. And then I started hearing around town that it was someone in that town. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. I ended up packing up all my things, leaving. And ever since then, we've been able to communicate properly, talk about things, focus on the kids, not focus.
right now that you're not in a relationship. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I want the best for her and she wants the best for me. She's told me she wants me to move on. And like, in a sense, I have, but like, I'll always have that love for her of, we still did that thing for a long time. I put up with a lot of your shit. And now she's at the point where like, I am so sorry for everything that I ever did to you. Now I realize like what a good man I lost, what you did for our family.
Well, I'll tell you what,
You
as great as that is to hear, please never go back to that situation because, she's done this to you
know,
a bunch of times. And the thing that I'm hearing, you have such a love for her, like you haven't really said anything negative about her. I mean, just the things that she's done, but you've never like, right, right. You just said what happened, but, and you're not like, I would be constantly, like, I'd be so pissed off if that happened to me. Like, she's doing those things and, you keep going through it and you're trying to just better your family, but she keeps doing the same shit. I don't know how you're, like, so cool and calm about it all, and you haven't really talked shit about her, you know what I mean? Like, you seem like you guys are good, which is, I mean, it's great. That's great to see, but it's wow, I'm just surprised.
it's been a lot to deal with up in my mind and in my heart, but it got to the point where I couldn't let anger control me fundamentally all the time.
100%.
Because what helped me was actually watching Inside Out and Inside Out 2 with my kids a lot because they were every night. Hey, can we watch this before bed? I'm like, all right, let's do it. But they'd fall asleep and I'd be lost in it. I'm like, dude, emotions are wild. That's and that's something that my generation doesn't cope with well because when we were younger, we were told to shut up. We were told, I'm gonna give you the chancla. I'm gonna give you the belt. Like we were threatened so much not to cry that we repressed it so much that we became numb and sad to everything that really happens. And with sadness is the root cause of anger. And with anger, we struggle with it because we just get so angry, we get lost in it. And with anger, nothing good comes of anger ever. So it's better to be sad about it per se and be like, dude, this does make me sad. But how can I honestly make myself feel better in a sense of I can use the sadness to make myself better? I can go learn. I can put my hands to the test to create something.
That's the thing is staying distracted and doing things because if you sit there and just complain and cry, you're just never gonna get over it. But if you stay busy and better your life, and those are the good things to do, you know what I mean? Like go to the gym, read books, literally
It's
better yourself. Yeah.
exactly. And so after we split, I started doing these coping mechanisms of, oh, dude, I'm still angry about this. What do I do? I didn't really have a release. Even with my releases that I have, video games, talking to people, like going on a walk, going on a hike, just taking a drive. I didn't let anger control me because I would allow that anger to just fester up until I let it out and then go, well, part of life. We all kind of use the it is what it is factor when it comes to things like that, especially men. But when we do realize it is what it is, does also come with It happened for a reason to teach me how to better myself mentally and emotionally to better fit the next situation.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
And so I've definitely been able to take that and put it to teaching my kids how to deal with their emotions when my 4-year-old is struggling because my 2-year-old wants to take a toy that he's playing with or that I got him. I go, "Hey, like I know you're angry about that. Let her play with it for 5 minutes and then gets distracted and then go pick
Right.
it up again."
Yeah.
And so after everything that happened with her and I, we ended up really well in our co-parenting.
How far do you guys live from each other?
3.5 hours separated.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so the drive isn't bad. Occasionally I'll take a transit, go spend the weekend and come back with, sometimes we'll do one kid at a time. Sometimes we'll do both kids at a time just to kind of give them space too. And it works out because where I'm at, I found the coolest daycare and her and I were both completely against daycares.
Yeah.
But I ended up finding one that has been so perfect. They're communicative and they're associated with a facility, but they take individual kids that need more attention. My kids aren't that way, but they were just like, "Yeah, we'll try it out with your kids." And my kids love it. They love my kids. They love going there. They're helping them with learning. And then the job that I've had has been so stable and it pays really well. And it's been enough for me to just handle life for what costs are nowadays. So not only do I have that, but I've got my other gig where I can, you know, have extra stuff for the holidays coming up. And so I was like, I don't want to uproot my stability anymore. I'm willing to do this traveling so that you have your time, I have my time. And if you need help with something, because you're taking extra time with the kids, because I got to work more, like I'll give you extra money, whatever you need. And like, she's never ever like, "Hey, I need money,"
Yeah.
or "Hey, this is what I need." She's always like, she's gone to the park. She goes, "Hey, I was wondering if it would be okay for me to ask if I could get this for myself because I just haven't gone with it, or I've gone without it for a month now." And, it's something insignificant, but to her, it's like, I haven't had it in so long that I would really appreciate it. It's like, you never asked me for anything. So, of course, I'm going to help you out if you need it. But whatever the kids need is always taken care of first. And
Yeah.
she's agreed.
I mean, it's so good to see that you guys, like, completely are getting along, even with that whole situation.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Even,
it makes life so much easier.
yeah. Through every piece of turmoil or pain that her and I both put each other through, because I won't say that I didn't do my part in being a dickhead either.
Yeah.
I had my moments of rage where I just snapped and I'm leaving right this moment. Like, there's nothing you can do to stop me. Like, please get out of my way. Even when I was mad, I was nice. Like, I'm not gonna shut that. And there were moments of me being super rude with my words and how I spoke to her. I learned how to not use my words as weapons in the end because I had to learn that so that I could teach her. Is she deals with not disability, mental illness, just like a majority of the rest of the population. I was able to help her with her coping mechanisms early enough that she can go, "That really does resonate with me because of how you're putting it to me. You're not being mean about it. You're actually listening to what I said and my problems, and you're helping me through it." And the only reason I'm able to do that with her is because I've had to do it with myself, because I've learned it's not okay to be angry all the time. Even through everything that happened, I found the peace within the rage. Even though I thrive in chaos a lot, I don't like to. No one does.
Right.
So no matter what went through with her and I, the story that happened is what happened, and now is has been way better than ever. Her and I can just call each other and be like, "Hey, how's your day going? Oh, how are the kids doing?"
Yeah. And your kids are just so much better off with both parents like that. It's
They
unbelievable.
see us both happy, and my son does ask like, "Why can't you and mommy be together?" It's hard for us to answer him, but we just say that I have to really work hard to make money so that I can support our family, and that mommy's doing the taking care of right now while she's doing what she has to do, um, school wise.
Yeah, but he'll be fine when both parents are loving him and there's no fighting. He'll be fine. Yeah.
And he still thrives either way. With her, with me, he's doing what he's got to do to still be a little kid. He gets to enjoy playing. He gets to enjoy learning. He gets to be rambunctious. Same with my daughter. We both let them be kids because taught each other, mom and I taught each other, we gotta let them rambunctious at times because that's how kids' love language is play.
Yeah.
And so it's been a tough ride, but it was worth it to get where we are now,
Right.
even though, I get my super lonely days without the kids, but it is still for them. I always keep in mind what I'm doing is for them, but I still got to take care of myself, and I have been. So getting back into hobbies, getting back into reading books, learning what I got to do to be better for myself. In the end, I'm doing better. She's doing better. And the kids are doing better. And that's what I find most important.
100%. That's all you can ask for. That's awesome, man.
Me down.